I want to talk about this absolutely brilliant post here that I'll post and read from. And the line that really stuck out to me is Helldivers 2 is the canary in the coal mines. And this is a topic I've talked about before, but we're going to hit on it again, which is negativity in gaming. And not just Helldivers specifically, though I will use Helldivers as my favorite game right now. But overall, there is a horrible trend with toxic gamers absolutely ruining communities. And it's not unique to Helldivers. It, of course, has happened in Call of Duty, it's happened in Dota 2, it's happened in League of Legends, it's happened in Dead by Daylight, it's happening in World of Warcraft. And while, yes, sometimes devs are to blame for mistakes they make, I think a lot of blame gets pushed off from the community, and the community is to blame for a lot of things. And I'm going to talk about gamers as a whole in here, and I want you to be very, very cognizant of what I'm saying here. I am not saying you personally are to blame. I'm not saying you personally have these traits. However, if you hear something in there and it offends you or hurts your feelings or makes you think, wait a minute, is he talking about me? That might be something for you to look inwards and say, do I have an issue? Do I have a problem? And learn and grow from it. Now, toxicity is nothing new in video games. It's been around since the first multiplayer games ever existed. Some might argue that it was worse back in the arcade games because if you absolutely bullied someone on an arcade cabinet, you were literally taking their money away from them. And then, of course, there were LAN parties and Team Deathmatch in Doom when it first started getting super popular. But I believe it's gotten worse in the most recent years. And the companies are partially to blame for this for not doing anything about it, but the community is also to blame for not doing anything about it. I'm going to use Call of Duty as an example here. A while ago on my channel I posted a video about Call of Duty, talking about how Activision Blizzard should do something about the horrible, horrible, horrible platform and toxicity it has. That I shouldn't be subject to little kids calling me slurs. That they should start divvying out bans for people being incredibly hateful or saying those terrible toxic things. And the response to the video was to be expected. People coming in defending it, saying, well, I have a right to call you racial slurs. Maybe you're just too soft. Maybe you're just too sensitive. Why should we take away the best part of gaming? Helldivers 2 is a symptom of the problem, but that right there is the root of the issue. That is the bacteria that is festering, causing the wound. You have kids and adults who feel entitled to saying the most heinous and horrible things to other human beings, and worse, to developers. Take 30 seconds away from this video and just go Google game developer gets threats, and you'll see a seemingly endless list. Palworld, Final Fantasy XIV, Cyberpunk 2077, Gamergate. It's so bad, last year there was a statistic that said 40% of game developers self-report that they faced some sort of harassment for working on their games. Almost half of the entire industry has faced some sort of threats from gamers because they get upset about nerfs or delays or things that don't go their way. And that extends beyond just the developers. I'm going to talk about Dead by Daylight for a second there. I played Dead by Daylight the day that it came out, and as a part of the beta community, I absolutely loved the game. I knew that it was something special, and of course, we see that it spawned a bunch of clones because it was something special. But that community was left unchecked for too long. And within a few months, I couldn't even stomach the game anymore because the community had become so toxic, so hateful, so spiteful, that I didn't want to associate with it anymore. And that's what we see happening now with the community we have with Helldivers 2. We see that the largest subreddit got broken down into a second subreddit, and that second subreddit then becoming infiltrated with too much negativity, too much hate, too much toxicity, has now broken into a third subreddit trying to avoid the toxicity. We saw the moderators for the community in the Discord get literally bullied off of the platform. And I hope that I've earned enough of your respect and trust that you know that I'm not here to doomsay. I don't come here to post negativity. I don't try and post the worst case scenario, but I do think that this will lead to bigger problems. If the community is not brought in check and this toxicity is not brought to an end, I do think that it's going to impact the devs. And I think there'll be more and more devs who say, why am I continuing to work on this game where all I get is threats, all I get is hate, all I get is negativity? And you have to remember, Helldivers 2 is built in an engine of code that's abandonware at this point. There's not exactly a lot of talent out there who can work in that engine who know it inside and out. And as we, the community, chase the developers away and more people leave, we will reach a tipping point where the game cannot be improved anymore. It'll have to go into maintenance mode because there simply won't be enough man hours in order to improve or add to the game. And if that happens, well, as you know, that's basically a death sentence for a game. Once it goes into maintenance mode, it maybe gets a patch once every few years, maybe once or twice a year if you're lucky. And they're usually small bug fixes or crash fixes and not usually anything balancing or adding to the game. Now, there is a simple and effective solution to it, but it is difficult. A lot of times when you see this negativity, you want to engage with it. And even if you go in and say, well, hey, that's not welcome here, or hey, be positive or something of that nature, that's still giving them what they want, which is attention. What we have to do is stop engaging fully with all the people who are bringing the negativity, the bashing, who clearly are bad faith actors who don't care about the game, who simply want to bash on the devs and everyone who enjoys the game. Don't give them likes, don't give them votes, don't talk to them, don't engage them, and they'll get bored and leave the community. And I know that's scary because when you hear, well, leave the community, like we don't want the community to shrink, that means the game is also dying. I'm going to use the dev's own word here. A game for everyone is a game for no one. A community for everyone is a community for no one. If we're tolerating the intolerant, tolerating the people who are making threats, tolerating the toxic people who come in here every single day to destroy the community, we're going to let our community get destroyed. We need to remove those people from the community. We also need to support the devs. That might mean, if you can afford it, buying a war bond. I know you can earn it in-game, but a little bit of money going their way obviously helps them. And thinking before we speak. Asking ourselves, would I want to have to explain what I'm saying to a judge, or to that person's mother or father, or to their child? If the answer is no, well, maybe we should rethink what we're trying to say. I also want to be clear that I'm not against passion. As you know, I'm very passionate about the game. I really enjoy the game. Do I think there have been mistakes made along the way? Certainly. Are there things that I've disagreed with? Definitely. However, I've never resorted to calling the devs names, trying to dox their information, going to the Discord and calling for people to lose their jobs. There's a way to have a respectful discussion, and I quite frankly don't think that a lot of communities have the maturity to do that. If you spend more than 5 minutes on any video game forum, you'll see that. And again, I'm not here to doomsay. I know we're going to get enough that when Space Marine 2 comes out in a few weeks and everyone's going to say that it's the end of Helldivers. What I am saying is that we need to support our community and support our devs and show them a little bit of positivity and give them a little bit more grace than I think a lot of the community has been offering them. And that doesn't just apply to Helldivers 2, that applies to all video games. There's a reason why gamers have a reputation, and that's not a good reputation. And I certainly hope that our community never becomes something like the Call of Duty community, where it's known for bigotry and racial slurs and the most hateful things you can imagine. I'm going to give one more example, and that's the Undertale fandom. The community for Undertale was toxic, to say the least. Not all of them, but enough of a portion that there were people who refused to play the game because of the fandom. People who said, I don't want to support that game because I don't want to support that group over there who's saying and doing these absolutely horrible things. Homestuck is another fandom that got that. Just something to think about every time you post on a Discord or on Reddit or the forum or wherever it may be, asking yourself, is this fostering the community that is welcoming and inviting that I want? If somebody who's never played the game before read this, would they want to play the game and join the community? I can say for certain after spending time on the Reddit, that is not the case on Reddit, and certainly not the case in the main Discord. In fact, in previous videos, I've said that I can't even advise people to join the main Discord. It is so horrendously bad in there that I can't in good conscience recommend that people join that place. Now, that is a failure of the moderators and a failure of that Discord community, but also a failure of the people who tolerate that. That's certainly enough ranting for now. My next video is going to be on the spear and bugs. There's been some interesting talk in the community about the spear's interaction with certain things in the bug world, and I'm going to explore those, so look forward to that. And as always, have a blessed day.